Good morning, everyone. Welcome to City Chat number 4. I'm City Manager Gordon Hargrove, and today I'm here with Mayor Jeff Weinkauf. As we approach hurricane season, we would like to talk a little bit about preparation and some of the things you can do as residents to stay more informed. So I'm going to turn it over to the mayor right now. I believe you have some things you'd like to talk about.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, one of the first things I want to make sure everybody knows is when we have events, everybody needs to make sure they're signed up for the Code Red, because that way we can make sure we get announcements out so you understand what's going on. But there's been a lot of talk, about all the heavy rains we get, and it's getting more frequent now. And it's just not us here in Bowling Spring Lakes. There's other areas that experience the same flash flooding and flooding. And like Southport just got inundated with rainfall not long ago, and it was flooding their areas, their streets. And something everybody needs to take into consideration. The National Weather Service defines flooding as a temporary inundation of normally dry land by water. It's the flash flood definition. This can be caused by different factors like excessive rainfall and rapid runoff, which we've been getting. Also, an overflow of water onto normally dry land or areas are caused by rising water in existing rivers, streams, and our drainage ditches, because when the ground gets saturated, the ground can hold only so much water before it starts flooding. So it ponders where the rain falls, and it's a long-term event when we have flooding, and it lasts for days or even weeks. So, I mean, even just like where I live, I have water that floods down our area, but that's something that this area is known for because of the type of dirt and the land we have. So that's just something everybody really needs to take in consideration. We're just not the only ones that have flooding problems. When we have these excessive rainfalls, it happens everywhere, and we're trying to do the best we can to maintain what we have in place right now.
So, that's a very valid point that you make, is that flooding is not specific to Bowling Spring Lakes. It is a regional issue, and it's always been an issue. What we're seeing, though, as our municipal partners in the area are completing their budgets and everything, and they're becoming for public review, that we're seeing a lot of our partners increasing funding for flood control. And I think that's really a positive note moving forward. The one thing that I would like to caution people and the residents of our community specifically is that the flooding issues that we're experiencing right now and the conditions that this community faces are not new. This board and this administration has taken a proactive approach to trying to resolve some of these issues. And one of the things we did this year was do a tax increase. And I know you spoke that you're against tax increases, and I can appreciate that. But in order to provide some of these services that the community needs, we have to have the funding to be able to do that. So I do want people to understand that this tax increase that is getting ready to go into effect is not specific to one part of our community. It is an attempt to resolve flooding issues throughout our entire community. Are we going to be able to fix it overnight? No. Are we going to be able to get to a point that we can withstand 22 inches of rain in a 24-hour period? No. Can we make improvements for rainfall like it's going on right now? Yes, sir, we can. But it's going to take time. We've already started advertising for the positions and got a lot of interest in the civil engineer position for the stormwater control and the operators that are going to be working on that crew. So we're going to hit the road. We're going to hit the ground running. And so I just ask the community's patience as we work through this. Continue, if you have concerns, please put them in our report of concern through the city's website, and we'll prioritize those concerns and continue to work forward. I want to stress, though, that this isn't going to be an overnight fix. It's something that it's going to take years. It didn't happen overnight. It's not going to be repaired overnight. And again, I'd like to stress that we can't build to a 22-inch storm or 1,000-year storm, so to speak, when we're getting 22 inches of rain. If we did that, there would be no one,
I understand.
that no one would be able to afford to live here or really anywhere.
I understand. And something else, while we're on this rain thing, there's been a lot of discussion, about our road on East PSL. And as you can see right now, we're getting rain. Well, contractors can't work out in the open when it's raining, thunder, and lightning, which pushes them back more and more every time we have these storms. And the contractors have been busting their tail, and I've made our manager know my frustrations about the road not being open. But I understand how they're working it, but the rain creates that problem where they can't stay out there and work doing this. They're working as hard as they can, but there's a lot of other things that we don't get to see, or the public don't get to see, like the rules they have to follow with the North Carolina Dam Safety, which has to inspect all that and come out here and do all that, plus all the federal government and everything else, all the rules they have to follow. There's been statements the Hoover Dam's been built faster than this road. Well, codes have changed since the Hoover Dam. Flooding problems have changed since the Hoover Dam. And being here on the coast, there's more restrictions that they have to follow to make sure they're following every little rule and detail that's inspected on these dams.
That's correct.
So there's a lot of things that we don't get to see that these guys have to follow to make sure they're putting in the correct and the product that's going to last for a long time.
That's right. I mean, we really want we want these dams to be almost bulletproof. And what a lot of people, I don't think they realize is that when the testing was done and the design for these dams, it was determined what the design would be, we're in an earthquake zone. Believe that or not, we're in an earthquake zone. So these dams have to be built to withstand a certain level of earthquake. That requires a different type of structural engineering, structural concrete. And when you pour concrete, you just don't pour concrete and walk away from it and make the assumption that it's okay. It has to go through testing. And a typical pour takes about 3 weeks to cure out and test. And if the concrete's not where it needs to be, then that whole process has to start over. I think this project started sometime in June of 2023, right around there, if I recall correctly. So Upper Lake, North Lake, and Pine Lake will have been completed in 2 years and let's say 4 months, which is quite a bit less than what it took to build Hoover Dam. Hoover Dam also had 5,000 people on it. And I think we can all see that we don't have 5,000 people here. People are saying, well, what are they doing while this concrete is curing? Well, they're moving from dam site to dam site to dam site, keeping moving forward. One of the things that I sent pictures to the board yesterday, I don't know if anybody else has saw this, but the holes in East Bowling Spring Lake Road are being filled in with dirt and compacted right now. So they're close to getting ready to put in a sub basin and get ready to pave those roads. So it's coming really soon. I'm hesitant to give a date because, well, you know, I've taken a lot of criticism because of that, and you know, you can continue to criticize me all you want to, but the date that I'll give you now is soon, very soon.
And something else that we have to take consideration too, we were going to open these roads up last October before we had that depression come through and dump 22 inches of rain, which set everything back 10 months. So that was one thing. And also something else, you know, these roads were not supposed to be finished or opened up until 2026. And we're still going to open them up roughly about 8 months ahead of schedule when they finish.
That's right.
So they're still ahead of schedule because we want them to go ahead and get these roads opened up. So that's a plus on their part. So I'm glad we're opening up still a little bit early on these roads.
And you know, I keep a constant eye on these projects. I'm out there every day watching these projects to make sure that they're moving forward. You might not see me, but I guarantee you I'm out there. They might not see me, but I'm constantly monitoring the process that they're going through. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The contractor by contract has a right to keep this road closed now until, I think, May of 2027. And they're working with the city. They understand the problems that having this road closed present. But they're working diligently with the city to get them open. I think the contractor's done a great job to this point. There's been very, very few change orders to this project, which to me I find amazing. And I just want to rest assured to the public, let them know that if the contractor is late on this project, there are financial penalties that go along with being for late delivery.
And there's been also talk that we're having to fund this project, and that's why we really had to go up on taxes too. But all this funding came from grant money and the state and from the county to be able to do this project. And even the bonds that we got approved, we hadn't even touched them, and they have no plans to even touch them.
That's right. It doesn't look like we're gonna have to. Our funding sources, of course, were the Department of Defense, the FEMA, the state of North Carolina, and Brunswick County. And we've not used not one tax dollar to build these dams. So right now it's cost the residents here in this community $0. And I anticipate that to be true at the end of this project.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of discussion about the maintenance. How are we going to do the maintenance on these dams? And we have a plan to be able to start when we get these opened up for the maintenance to take place and actually test and make sure it's working, the gates on them.
That's right. So we have a plan. We're putting that plan in place. So I'm really excited. I think when the community, I think a lot of angst will be resolved. And once we get East Bowling Spring Lake Road open, I understand the detour is not something that people want to travel every single day. Frankly, from a administrator's perspective, I don't want you traveling it every day. You don't really have a choice. I don't want you to travel on it every day because of the wear and tear on the roads. And so we're looking at some funding sources. We've reached out to Representative Miller for a request for additional funding to help us with that. I don't know that it will come through this year simply because everything right now is being directed toward the western part of the state. But that's no slight on anyone. You know, our elected representatives have been very good to our community.
And speaking of that, you know, we have contact with Representative Miller, Senator Rayburn, and all them all the time. We try to keep them update what's going on in the city, but we also have other resources, Representative Rouser's office, Senator Ted Budd's office, Senator Tillis's office, but we have all these avenues open that we've created and met with all the representatives to make sure if we have something that we need to push, we can reach out to them and they're willing to respond and help us.
That's right.
So that's a good asset that we have that we've created here. So if we need something, we've got somebody to reach out to. Right. So, but there's other issues, you know, we like to talk about too, because, you know, part of this tax increase, and I've said this from the beginning, is we have really no commercial here to offset the tax base. And we've been trying to work with developers to be able to get stuff coming into the city to offset that, because it's an awful burden on the taxpayers to have to keep paying taxes when we don't have that offset to keep helping. So that's one of the things we've been working on, trying to work with and come in here. And also with these homes that are being built, we're working with the builders and the developers. New now, we're coming up with development agreements to be able to understand what their plans are, and they understand what we expect and what we want to see happen. So that's something we're doing now too, to make sure everybody's on the same page and we're working together to create something that we know is going to be good for the community.
That's right. That's a great point. I think we've talked about this in the past, is that our tax rate is supported I'd almost estimated at 97% by residential taxes. That's not a sustainable model over the long term. It's one of the reasons that we have to bring commercial in here. we really want to see a better balance of 60% commercial to 40% residential. That way the burden of all these infrastructure repairs doesn't fall on the residents. One of the things that I think that really the city needs to look at is ecotourism. We have a lot of unique habitat here in our community that, as far as I'm concerned, is not being taken advantage of. We've got the Venus flytraps, which is an amazing little plant. We have the pitcher plants. We have everybody's favorite alligators. We have such a diversity of flora and fauna that I think it's something that ecotourism is something that could bring tax dollars in as well. I know not all people look at growth as a good thing, but if you really want to keep your cost of living down as far as tax rates go, you have to have a better balance than what we have now.
And another thing, I've reached out because everybody's complained about East BSL on the backside, how bad the road is. And we've reached out to DOT to let them know that we want to see something happen to the road. We want them to put something in place to be able to fix the road. And we're also working with them as far as 87 here for the future to look how the road's going to go, plus adding turn lanes down at 50 Lakes where that's a big congested area.
So I want to circle back around to what you spoke about just a minute ago about working with the developers. I want you to understand that when we say that we're working with developers, it's not necessarily in a format to make it easier for them. What we're looking for when we're looking for developers is to protect the interest of the residents that live here. So all development is not good development. We're looking for good development. And so the procedures and the processes and the ordinances that we're putting in place is really to protect our community. I know a lot of developers probably don't like some of the ideas that we're tossing around, but I know this sounds callous, and hard-hearted, but my interest is to protect the interest of the residents that live here, not ensure the profitability of their bottom line, of the builder's bottom line. And I know that's a hard fact, and you guys are probably going to snarl at me at the next meeting, but that's our role here, is to protect the interest of the community and really not the interest of the builders, to make sure that we can resolve some of these flooding issues that we're having.
Well, and on that point, if we protect the residents who are moving in when the developers build, it's a win-win for them and a win-win for us, because we don't have to go back and fix any problems. They don't have to go back and fix any problems, because we're trying to look ahead to stop those problems.
And Jeff, to that point is nobody wants to have to go in after the fact and repair something. So we're trying to do things, be proactive in doing things to prevent these problems that are occurring, and we don't want to be reactive to it. And so it's just going to take time, and people have to understand it's all about having the vision, the ability to look out over the horizon and anticipate what the next 20 years are going to bring. Some people have difficulty with that. I think it's something that absolutely has to be done in order to grow in a smart capacity.
I agree. Let me change subjects a little bit,
Okay.
Because, sometimes we get accused of spending money, building buildings, and we're getting ready to renovate the old police department building and change it into a senior center and library. And I just want to get out there straight ahead. We've got $250,000 from Senator Rayburn that went into this project because he wanted to see something there. And we also put money back for this project to be able to do. So it's not that we're building buildings and spending money. We get money from our state agencies when we ask for it a lot of times, and sometimes it comes in when we don't even expect it.
That's right.
So that'll be a project we'll be starting fairly soon. So everybody's going to see that happening and think we're spending money again.
So that, again, I want to circle back around. That's another great point. The tax increase has nothing to do with the renovation of the old police station. That funding has been provided by Senator Rayburn's office, and and the bids, we received those this week. They came in under, well, one of them came in under budget, under what we have. And so we are currently vetting that bid, and if it's strong like we feel it is, then I will bring that to the board at the July board meeting for the board's consideration to either approve or deny. So we're pretty excited about that. And again, that's really no cost to the taxpayers because it was a grant given to us by Senator Reagan's office.
Yeah, that's why I say, we're thankful for communication that we have that with our state representatives, because we have a good working relationship. That's a partnership with them, and they help us out when, we don't expect it.
That's right.
So, but there's a lot of things going on in the city. We're still not out of the woods yet. We still have this hurricane season to go through. But we're trying to plan ahead. We're not trying to just fly by the moment and do things sporadically. That's one of the things when Gordon came in, our manager, we talked about how we needed to move forward and look to the future to be able to plan things out so we knew what was going to happen. And there's going to be times where things are unexpected, out of our control, that we had to fund and we had to spend money on, because it has to be a lot of times when it happens like that, it needs to be fixed.
So I'd like to comment on that just a second. We get a lot of complaints about different issues as far as crushed pipes, tiles, all sorts of things that are associated with stormwater control. In the past, we've really not had the money to do anything with it. So now with this tax increase that is specifically focused toward that, as well as law enforcement retention, we're gonna have the money to do stuff. So what I would ask the community, to please be patient with us as we prioritize these projects and work from most important down to, they're all important, to least important. So just because you put in a report of concern about a crushed pipe or something like that, and don't think that it's falling on deaf ears. We're well aware of it. We're gonna work toward resolving that, but it's gonna take some time.
And sometimes when we go do these projects, the road will close.
That's right.
And we'll make sure the notices get out well in advance before the work starts, but they'll have to close the road to take the pipe out and dig it up and put a new pipe in. So that needs to be part of, what everybody has to understand too. It's not a very fast project when you have to do this.
But the good thing is we're not going to close East Bowling Spring Lake Road back.
I know.
The only way that'll happen is, if when North Carolina Dam Safety comes out and looks at something and we have to draw the lake down and repair something, the road might have to be shut down for a day or two, but not for an extensive period of time like it has been now.
Yeah, because we can't override dam safety or any of those people because they have the authority over us. And that's
right.
Something else we talked about at our last meeting, because the perspective out there is that we make up our own rules and stuff. But what reality is we follow mostly the state and the rules they set down to us that we must follow or violate the law.
That's right.
So,
that's another great point, is that all of our statutory authority to do what we do as a municipality comes from the state. Our laws cannot be in direct conflict, or our ordinances can't be any more stricter than what the state statutes are. We can be less strict, but we can't be more strict. So all of our authority comes from the state of North Carolina. So, we're not out here, like you said, just passing ordinances and making rules that, oh, well, we think we want to do this. Well, if it's in conflict with the state statutes, we can't do that.
and sometimes we will not like them, and you let our representatives know, see if they can do anything about them. But sometimes, they're only one vote, and sometimes they can't do anything about it.
That's right.
So, but I think, we didn't get any questions this time. There's a lot of outstanding stuff that the city's still working on. We're looking out for the future long range, and we can't look at a short range future because things are changing all the time, and we have to be able to change as things change in the laws, in the ordinances, and move forward. And, you know, I'm not a person for change a lot of times, but I understand it has to happen. And that's part of the way life works around here and works everywhere. So, is there anything else we want to?
Well, the one thing that I think what you just said is, you know, I think, and if this hurts feelings, I'm sorry. I think sometimes in the past, the city, well, what I've noticed, is the city has been reactive as opposed to proactive. And you just don't change overnight from being reactive to proactive. And we're trying to move from being reactive to proactive. And that just takes time. I would appreciate everybody's patience, and, you know, just work with us. We're not bad people.
One more thing I want to discuss. I just thought about this. A lot of discussion about our roads. And when we came into office, we decided because, you know, you can't do roads every year because the price of gasoline goes up, which means the cost of asphalt goes up. So what we looked at was, you know, how can we do more paving? And that was doing it every other year, saving our money, because we can do more road by saving our money and going every other year than every year. So that was one of the things we looked at too when we came in office, to be able to do more stuff and go longer instead of just a short period of time, because asphalt has gone sky high with oil prices. So that's something else out there that they think we collect a lot of money and we can do this, but actually the taxes for the vehicles and the money we get in from the state really doesn't do that much, or that much coming in.
That's right.
So that's another thing that I hear about, the roads, but, you know, asphalt is not cheap anymore, and we're trying to get as much done as we can with the money we have.
Mobilizing those guys to pave roads not cheap, so, you know, it's better to mobilize them every other year than once a year, because you're spending money on asphalt, more asphalt, as opposed to paying for mobilization.
So, but that's really all I have in this session. You have anything else?
The only thing I would encourage people is to come in and continue to put in your comments and suggestions and questions in the comment box right here at City Hall. We do have a few, but I'm not touching them. Few. That's for another day. They're really hot potato topics, and I hope you don't get upset with me for bringing it out, but it's, you know, people want to know about chickens. People want to know about golf carts. That's, I think, more appropriate to be discussed in front of the full board than have a conversation between you and I and weighing in on our individual thoughts about what we think about that. I think that when it's a board issue on something like that, I think it needs to be brought up in front of the entire board.
I agree. I totally agree.
So I'm not going to touch those subjects here today. Thank you for bringing those to our attention. I'm not purposely I am purposely avoiding them because I'd rather the board take that hot potato. I've got enough hot potatoes over in my seat I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah, and I hope us having these little chats, y'all will send in more questions, and we continue to do this every month to inform you of things and let you know things and be able to answer questions. So don't stop sending questions in, please. You know, we're trying to be proactive here and get things done and make sure our city's moving towards the future.
And as we move forward with these city chats, I do have some really interesting guests lined up as we move forward. Unfortunately, today I couldn't find the availability that would work out with one of them, so they get you and I today. So in the future, we will have a special guest to kind of banter about topics like flood control, authorizations of how municipalities work, different things, just kind of to educate the public on how municipalities operate.
Sounds good.
All righty. Thank you all for watching today. We appreciate your time, and y'all have a great weekend and a happy 4th of July.
Same here.